This episode is sponsored by State Farm. Choices are great, like with your podcasts. You get to choose what you want to listen to. And State Farm believes insurance should work the same way. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you get the coverage you want at an affordable price and a policy that helps cover what you value most. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com today to create your State Farm Personal Price Plan. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Wygen. Purple Mafia is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pod MN, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Music. I could go on forever. Stitcher, Double Twist. Thank you always and forever for downloading and listening to this show. It is a gigantic pleasure to do this every week during the NFL season and all the way up to the Super Bowl. Of course, I'll take a week off during Pro Bowl week and Minnesota Vikings bye week, year in and year out. It's good that I'll be going through the whole season without missing a show once again. Occasionally, I'll miss a show just because circumstances are just too much, but this year, looks like it's going to work out. Thank you, Lord. And we got a Christmas Day show coming up next week. I'm scouting next week's opponent. I'm scouting, and I'm doing double duty, for a Christmas Day. They're playing the Chiefs right now. I actually predicted this to be the Super Bowl a year and a half ago, and then it wound up being, Chiefs versus Niners. And yeah, okay. Well, bottom line, let's talk about the Vikings and Bears instead. As entertaining as the game could be at times, the Vikings lose to Chicago in U.S. Bank Stadium, 33-27. And it's sad because 33 and 27 had a pretty good day today. Dalvin Cook and Cam Dantzler, yeah, they had a pretty good game today. I thought so. They could have won the game, I guess. But I don't know. The offensive scheming is uncreative most of the time. Sure, you have a running back that can outrun anybody. He can run through this, he can run through that, but he's not going to last forever. A good thing he got his paycheck. That's all I got to say about that, and for his sake, because he was making just over $1 million a year being a second-round pick. He wasn't making a whole lot. So good for Dalvin Cook to actually get some money throughout his career for what a damn good player he is. But if you overuse a guy, we all know what's going to happen when you overuse a running back. They just don't last. It's the running back is the NFL. The running back is the NFL, not for long. Vikings lost to the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky, I don't know. Maybe he is for real. I don't know. Or is it just the Vikings defense is so depleted that we can't stop anybody anymore? Or is it the offensive line is just so terrible and the inside that there's nothing you can do? At least certain players are terrible. It's sad because Cleveland's pretty good. He's been playing right guard. He's back healthy the last couple of weeks here. Dozier had one of his worst games. Unfortunately, he just wasn't good. Reif has had a pretty strong year. I can't say this was his best game of the season. And O'Neal is what he is, an outstanding right tackle. Bradbury's what he is. He's pretty good most of the time, but sometimes he's awfully mediocre. I wouldn't say it was his worst game or anything. No, those were mostly last season. The Vikings' run defense is just gone. It's gone. And again, you want to just say they suck. But, well, there's not a whole lot going on, unfortunately, in the middle. There's just not a whole lot going on. Odenigbo's not having a good year, and he's one of those kind of guys where he gets the opportunity to start, and, well, he isn't as good. Jaleel Johnson just has not been that good either. Jaleel Johnson has not been anything special. You got to see Tanker Slay play. Cordrea. Tanker Slave get upgraded from the practice squad. That was exciting, I guess. Anthony Harris has been mediocre all season. Todd Davis probably had his best game as a Viking. Big third down stop with the pass deflection, and he got a sack. I like Todd Davis today. He's pretty good, He's pretty good. Jeff Gladney actually got burned today, which was kind of disappointing and heartbreaking. Dancer was generally really good, and he got an interception, pass deflection. Very good day for Dancer, and everybody loves him. DJ won him, generally solid. I don't know, only one sack though on Mitchell Trubisky, and he was decent, though the interception he threw very late, which gave the Vikings a golden opportunity to actually win the game. Maybe go for a game-winning drive, and then we all know what happened. The Bears are now 7-7, and the Minnesota Vikings are now 6-8. And with you have to beat the Chiefs, or excuse me, you have to beat the Chiefs. You have to beat the Saints and the Detroit Lions. Now, beating the Lions is possible. Beating the Saints, I don't know. They don't exactly look spectacular at the moment, but consider who they're going up against. I mean, who are they playing? They're playing against the team they would have lost in the Super Bowl to last year if that just happened. Wow, that was something. Pat Mahomes just got the ball batted out of his hand for what would have been a fumble. And, yeah, interesting. And the center recovered the ball, and, okay, it's complicated, but covered the ball and went forward. I don't know. There's a flag. It's terrific. Wrong game, right? Yeah, I'm scouting next week's opponent. We only see the Saints like every year and stuff. They might as well be in our division. Kirk Cousins was fairly efficient, and the interception, of course, was the final play of the game. And gosh, blank, cursity, curse. It was frustrating and sad, and I don't know. Dalvin Cook was absolutely spectacular, though, against one of the best run defenses in the NFL. I mean, he is really a son of a gun. 5.5 yards a carry, 20 long. David Montgomery, it was just hand off the ball and go, go, go. Mitchell Trubisky was just kind of every time he wanted to get his feet moving, he looked like Aaron Rodgers with his feet, not with his arm. Okay, he looked like that with his arm on occasion, too, in the earlier parts of the game. In the later stages, it was just the Vikings' run defense couldn't do anything about it, and the Bears had the lead. Vikings had golden opportunities to come back and win this thing like the Carolina game. It would have been kind of similar because Teddy blew it. Golden opportunity, just overthrew the guy in the end zone. Bad throw, inaccurate. And in this case, Mr. Trubisky underthrew the ball slightly. If anything, in the situation late, you want to overthrow the ball a tiny bit or, sail it in, so to speak. It just wasn't an accurate throw. He just didn't have enough arc on the throw. And if it's incomplete because it's too far away, so be it. It didn't get intercepted. You just threw it away and you get another chance. Maybe a kick and field goal and go up by 6. But then the way the Vikings blew it on 4th down and gave it right back to the Bears, multiple times in the game, I might add, because we just absolutely had to force our way through and be predictable, the Bears were able to just kind of stuff us in both occasions and give the Bears 3 points, basically for free. Going for it early in the game, which I didn't understand. It was at the second quarter. The Vikings went for it on their own 34 and failed and gave the Bears 3, luckily, only 3. But with the way this Bears offense is moving, you can't get too cocky about, we'll stop them. You can't get too cocky about that. And, of course, the way their kicker's kicking, unlike Dan Bailey last week. Santos would be a spectacular fantasy kicker, wouldn't he, right now? Dan Bailey made chip shots all day. He made everything. He made 2 kicks and 3 extra points. Now, extra points are, 35 yards out, so it's not as easy as it used to be. What did it used to be, about 20 yards or so, or 21 yards, whatever the hell it was. Something like that. It was, they're a little bit harder, but 35 is still pretty small. It's funny, both field goals Dan Bailey made in the low 20s. So, hey, you got to start somewhere, right? I mean, it's like you got to start somewhere. Imagine you're a basketball player or something, and you've been struggling. You've been shooting like 3 for 16 or whatever. You've just been stuck in so bad. So you work on that little, you just shoot the ball from the little circle, in front of the free throw line, about 5 feet or so in front of the free throw line, and just shoot from there. Hey, he made all of them. There you go. All right, next week we'll go to free throws. I'm happy for him, though. Believe me, I am happy for Dan Bailey. There's no reason to root against him. Now, of course, people are looking at him as multiple guys like, he's a porn guy, because he's got the mustache going, and he could say he looked a little bit like Freddie Mercury, also a little bit. So go with whatever you want to go with there. Obviously, very talented singer and awesome music with Queen, but so interesting, funny stuff there. He made his kicks, though. I mean, good job, Dan. Regardless if he has a mustache or he doesn't have a mustache, you know what? So what? Yeah, let's stereotype. How about let's call him the Micro Machine guy then instead? That guy was cool. Loved his. He was the fastest speaker in the world, basically. Cool stuff. I don't know. That's what kind of game it was. Very entertaining moments. Sorry for snapping my lips. I know somebody out there hates it, and I'm sure other people hate it as well. Maybe that guy left a long time ago because, I don't know. People listen to the show, but there's less and less interaction on the page, and the number for likes keeps gradually dropping. I don't know what I did, but maybe it's just interest in this team right now. Tyler Conklin, the past couple of weeks, has been awesome, hasn't he? Irv Smith, not really awesome like last week. Now, he made 3 catches out of the 4, but what was the 4th one? It was a touchdown. That's what it was, and he dropped it. It was right in the oven, basically. The bread was in the oven. It looked like the ball might have been deflected, but on further review, it was not deflected. He just bleep and dropped it. I almost cursed there, so my apologies. He almost bleep and dropped it. He just bleep and dropped it, and damn it, man. And then, of course, well, Conklin looks good, though. I mean, his turn and go into the end zone, that was a great play. And, of course, the 30-yard play as well. Big-time stuff. He's fast. He's pretty fast. And the fact that he can actually catch the ball, unlike last season and the year before, when I was really frustrated thinking, what the heck is he even here for? I guess he can block. He's one of those guys, And like how David Morgan was a good blocking tight end, and then he became a lot more than that. He was a pretty good player. He could do a lot of stuff besides just block. And Conklin can do a lot of stuff. He's pretty good. I like him. He's a lot better than that crazy guy who thought he was going to be legendary a few years back. The guy with the big long hair. He looked like a Yeti or something. He looked like Bigfoot. I don't know. Just a lot skinnier, I guess. And I mean, he was skinny. But Tyler Conklin's good. Tyler Conklin, thumbs up. He's not going to be any Fran Award or anything, but he might have been the way he was going for a minute there. Alexander Madison, you got to see him for a couple seconds because they just don't use the guy. He made 1 catch for 14 yards, and he made 1 run for 1 yard. 1 run for 1 yard. Can we mix it up with Madison a little bit? He's not that bad, okay? I mean, if Cook can run for 5.5 yards with this run, with the run blocking, which is pretty decent, unlike the pass blocking today. I mean, mix it up a little bit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. As great as Dalvin Cook is, remember what he is. He's a human being. He's not a machine. Now, David Montgomery, they just went all out with the running there. 32 yards, but of course, again, it was literally like 5-6 yards a carry for the guy. Wound up with 4.6 because things got limited a bit. But hey, if he was on your fantasy team, you'd be dancing on the clouds right now. 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that is outstanding play by your fantasy running back. If he's your second or third running back, you are dancing on the clouds. If he's your number 1 running back, you're still dancing on the clouds. Because, I don't know. I don't think he'd be your number 1 unless you really went away from running backs. Years ago, I went ape-bleep with it, and I still remember Marcus, the forecaster, an old friend of mine that I almost never hear from anymore, yelled, "Joey, I told you to stop taking running backs." It was so funny because I just kept doing it. I went way overboard, and that was stupid. I remember not doing well that year, and I don't know, so many reasons why I quit fantasy football, but I still play fantasy hockey, basketball, and baseball. That tells you how I feel about fantasy football. I've got rings in hockey and baseball. Basketball, I got 1 like a million years ago. I don't know what's wrong with me there, but football, I had 3, but a long time ago. Back in the day, let's just say if you're my age, your kids are probably, if you're about my age and you had kids at like a reasonable age, you weren't like 30-something, your kids are in high school. The kids that were born the year I won the championship would be in high school already. So let's just leave that as is. It's been a while. But in hockey, it'd be a newborn pretty much. So wink, 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 wink there. No one cares. I apologize. I don't know. It just was a typical Viking home game in one of those stupid years, one of those stupid bullcrap seasons where you're not terrible, you're not good, you're just not reliable. It's just the same old thing, It's just the same old thing. And what else can I say? Yay, we beat the Bears in Soldier Field, and then we can't beat them here. And, there's no fans and blah, blah, blah. And you can't win a home game for your life this season. You can't even beat Atlanta at home. That's what kind of season it's been, man. That's what kind of season it's been. Obviously, you got walloped by Green Bay to open up the year, which made things obvious it wasn't going to be a fun season like last year could be. There's fun moments. there's been fun games when you have offensive threats, and Dalvin Cook has stayed pretty freaking healthy this year. He gets banged up, but generally he's stayed healthy. He's got 16 touchdowns on the season, which, that's a Hall of Fame level running back right there. You got a potential Hall of Fame level receiver if he comes back next year and continues the path he's on, and you keep being able to get him the ball and all that. It's not like we're denying him numbers, but we're denying him big moments. We're denying him big plays. We're just kind of looking for the run or the check down, the run or the check down, the run or the check down. Kirk Cousins is too scared to make a mistake because when he gambles, he loses. And the coaching staff is run. And after that, just run again. And I don't know. When you get too predictable, you're not going to win a whole lot of games. Watching Justin Jefferson explode down that field and make those big plays is so much fun. I say keep utilizing it. He did get to the century mark today, 104 yards. He was targeted 11 times, which is not a low number. That is your starting, that's your top receiver. Adam Thielen was only targeted 3 times. Can you believe that? But one of them was a touchdown early on that got things rolling. That was the first really good drive of the game for the Vikings, and it felt awesome. Tied the game up, actually, with about 5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. We felt fine, like we'll be okay. And then, of course, Cairo Santos has made, how many in a row? Like 22 in a row now. I remember Bailey was on a streak, I believe, last year into this one, wasn't it? And then you consider how awful he was against Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. A couple of Florida teams, like retirement homes. Now, Jacksonville's more Hickville. Tampa is more of a retirement kind of place. Old time people, moving to Florida from New York or Philadelphia or something, or Minnesota. There I go, snapping my lips. I can't break habits sometimes. It's just a creature habit. The Vikings are creatures of habits also. You get excited beating Green Bay and other games like that. And then, it's just, I don't know, you feel positive the way we beat the Bears in Soldier Field, even though it was a terrible game. It was a terrible game. Let's just be honest. Both teams stunk. And then, I don't know. And then you get in a shootout with Mitchell Trubisky and you lose. Oh, okay. And you lose. Because, again, you can't stop the run. Obviously, your defense is depleted, but the play calling was not that great. And, of course, the pass protection was not good enough. Cousins had to gamble and get rid of the ball or throw the ball away. And then, of course, take the sack. Luckily, he was able to recover a ball that could have been a fumble loss, and it wasn't a fumble loss. I don't know. It's just, the whole thing's sad and disappointing. And it just kind of chalks up to, it's kind of like a 2016, 2018 type of year, basically. We'll be 7-9, 8-8, probably 7-9 with the way things are going. I'm sure the Saints are going to be chasing hard after today's loss, because I don't think they're going to win today. I doubt it. I don't think they're going to win. Chiefs are going to be like 15-1, I think, and then they'll choke in the playoffs. Watch the Chiefs choke in the playoffs. Okay, I don't know. This is in the past, if Patrick Mahomes wasn't the quarterback and they didn't win the Super Bowl last year, I would pick the Chiefs 10 out of 10 times to choke in the playoffs. Let me tell you about that one. Marty Schottenheimer, remember Marty Schottenheimer when he took Rich Gannon out? He had them in the AFC title game versus the Denver Broncos in '97. Puts Elvis Gerbach in. A legitimate backup quarterback for a guy who, Rich Gannon, who before that wasn't as highly touted with the Vikings and all that, and the Chiefs and the Redskins, who was at the time before that. But clearly, it was a much more dynamic quarterback than Elvis statue can't do anything Gerbach. Elvis bleeping Gerbach. The only thing interesting about Elvis Gerbach was what? His first name. That's it. Everything else, there was nothing about Elvis Gerbach that told you starting quarterback, future star. Just because he was backing up Steve Young with the 49ers when they won the Super Bowl in '94 does not mean it does not mean he's a great quarterback as well. You get lucky sometimes. Steve Bono, they tried to Steve Bono in Kansas City also. It's kind of funny, actually. The only guy who didn't go to Kansas City was Steve Young. Montana, Gerbach, and Bono all went to Kansas City. And, well, they got beat. I remember Bono's team, what were they, like 14-2, and they got beat by the Colts by Jim Harbaugh. Kind of cool in '95. Great record. Got beat by, that was the '95 season, but '96 playoffs. See, I'm just going off. I'm sorry. That's kind of my vibe now. Yeah, that was the Chiefs, though. Seriously, Montana took them to play the Buffalo Bills in '93 and got beat, unfortunately. And and of course the Elvis Gerbach year. Yeah, that was just lousy. And I was happy to see Denver win because screw Gerbach. Go Elway, man. I wanted to see him get his first title and beat the Packers because the Chiefs would not have beaten the Packers in the Super Bowl in '97. I hate to tell you. Don't think so, but Denver did. That was great. That was great for everybody in this town, for the most part, unless you actually cheered for the Packers for some reason. But I don't know. I didn't like the Patriots back then at all. I hated Bledsoe, so go Packers in '96, I guess. Ugh, famous last words. Famous last words were Vikings should be fine today against Chicago. Famous last words. Even though the running game worked for the most part and Cook was spectacular, the offense just was not, I don't know, it just sputtered when you needed it most. And it always does. Third and long or whatever, and of course it's going to be Kirk Cousins just running away and he's going to get sacked or he's going to have to chuck the ball on the ground. And it's just the same effing thing every time. The same freaking thing. And that's kind of why I'm talking about the Chiefs in the 90s for some reason. Why I went off on that, I guess it's because I'm just watching in the background a team that finally got over the bleeping hump when they were the Vikings of the AFC. All these gaudy records, but they always had the mediocre quarterback who couldn't get them to the championship. Then there he is, number 15 over there. Love him, hate him. I don't think there's any reason to hate him, but dislike because maybe you don't want them to win another title. You don't want nobody likes dynasties that much. You want someone else to win sometimes, but we'll see. But you get over the hump. You get over the hump with that. Kirk Cousins, yes, he's not a bad quarterback at all, but he's Alex Smith basically. He's just Alex Smith, maybe with a prettier smile, and that's about it. I think that's about it. That's what Kirk Cousins is at the end of the day. God bless Alex Smith. God bless Kirk Cousins. Maybe a stranger personality than Alex Smith as well, but whatever. Kansas City had great running backs, too. Didn't they have great running backs? You had Larry Johnson. You had Priest Holmes. Greatest running backs ever. And, well, they didn't get over the hump. It didn't matter. I mean, the other problem in those days also was the defense sucked at times, too. And right now the defense sucks because guys are hurt or they elected out for COVID issues and asthma and all that, and Michael Pierce. You traded Ngakoue away because you gave up, and, well, he stunk most of the time in Baltimore. He was great here, or good here, excuse me. And then Danielle Hunter had a neck injury, which always means out for the season, basically, even if it's minor. It ends up being bigger because it's a neck injury. Oh, I apologize. I'm clinking the microphone here with the edge of the computer. I apologize, the laptop screen. So, I don't know. We're stuck in the middle. I mean, we are literally stuck in the middle right now. You have a few great players, and I don't know. I mean, the hope is this defense still has a ton of potential going forward with Michael Pierce coming back, Danielle Hunter if he doesn't get traded or demand a trade or whatever the hell the thing's going to happen. Maybe you trade him for the next Patrick Mahomes. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe you get that Mr. Lawrence. So he looked pretty good yesterday with Clemson, didn't he? We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll win the national championship, pardon me. I don't know, man. I don't know. We're kind of stuck in the middle. That's all. Always somebody magically gets hurt, and it just derails the whole damn season with other things start to kind of pile up after that. And you lose to quarterbacks that aren't that great, Mitchell Trubisky. But good for him, I guess. He's a hell of a lot better than what Nick Foles was this year. I mean, hell of a lot better right now. And maybe the Bears can go on some kind of run. I guess good luck to them. I'd rather see them win than the Packers. Packers are maintaining the first seed in the NFC, and they're definitely going to hang on to it now because I don't think the Saints are going to beat the Chiefs. So, yeah, here we go. With that said, the Fran Tarkington Award for this episode has got to be Delvin Cook. It is. The defense just... there were moments, and then there were disappointing moments. Honorable mention could go to Cam Dantzler defensively. He was pretty good, wasn't he? I think Cam Dantzler was pretty good. And again, I mean, I talked about the defensive line guys being out. Danielle Hunter and Ngakoue, obviously being gone right away after 5 games. No Michael Pierce. You could go on forever about that, but then you also have no... you have no Eric Kendricks for 3 weeks in a row. So naturally your defense is going to stink. just this whole season started sucking pretty much with the Dallas Cowboy game. And obviously you could say it started sucking at the beginning too when we got crushed by the Packers. But that Dallas game was a real downer. It really was. And that was a home game. Another home game. That was the beginning of the end for this season in a lot of ways. It really was on, the Kennedy assassination anniversary. That's when that happened. And, it wasn't in Dallas, thankfully, but that's, we barely beat the Panthers. Looked like horse crap the whole game. Barely beat the Jaguars. Looked like double horse crap in that game. Double horse crap. Got thwarted by a Buccaneers team we were dominating for a little while there until things went completely out of control. And then this Bear game, I don't know, it just started off icky and kept staying icky, and it looked promising for a minute, and we just lost. The Christian Toronto Memorial, we're not going to go to the Blair Walsh Memorial card today because Stan Bailey made his kicks. He was like Morton Anderson, where you could only make him from a little distance, I guess, today. That's all. Morton Anderson at the end of his career when he was really old. Or, was it Eddie Murray? Eddie Murray, can you imagine? Just like the baseball player name, but obviously a much older player even. Oh, no, they're both old. The Christian Toronto Memorial in today's game, just kind of generally run defense. Chris Jones was pretty lousy. He got beat like normal. It was just, he was lousy. There's somebody named Hardy Nickerson. That sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, that's fascinating, isn't it? Hardy Nickerson, yep, had his moments with Cincy, I guess, for a minute there. But, yeah, it's a very familiar name, isn't it? But it's not the same person we remember in the past. I guess it's going to go to Chris Jones, just because we could pile on Chris Jones, I guess, just to be mean. And just generally speaking, some of the play calling was frustrating, blowing it on fourth down multiple times in your own territory. Of course, at the end of the game, you kind of had no choice. You had to go for it. But it was still lame as, to not execute. Just poor execution. Cam Dantzler is always going to get the target in with Mr. Delvin Cook. And then, I guess, Chris Jones and just general poor run defense when needed most. Poor tackling at the end of the day in the Ponder department. With that, I'll take a break, and we'll come back and look across the league and preview the Nowlin Saints on Christmas Day. Come on, why are you making me work on Christmas, you sons of biscuits? And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2. Time to look around the league, especially the NFC North, and we will preview the New Orleans Saints, which we play every single year, I guess. It's a nice rivalry, that's for sure, and our history's generally been positive against them, I guess, except for the biggest one of all. Yeah, well, let's get to that when we get to that. Last Thursday, you had the Los Angeles Chargers defeat the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders just continue to drop off the face of the earth, which is a crying shame. Oh, it took overtime to get there. The Raiders dropped to 7-7. Sad thinking that the Vikings were hoping to get to 7-7. It's just been that kind of year, When you start 1-5, what are you going to do, Minnesota? Unfortunately, Chargers win their 5th game of the year. We're happy for them. 30-77. It's just kind of depressing. Marcus Mariota playing for the Raiders last week after a crappy start for Derek Carr. A mediocre start, and he got banged up, of course. Marcus Mariota of the Raiders, but Justin Herbert, much better. Very good game, actually, against the Las Vegas Raiders. Very encouraging. Looking forward for that. A couple touchdowns, no turnovers for Justin Herbert, and a quarterback rating of 121. Definitely looking more and more positive as they move forward. Jalen Guyton led the team with receiving yards anyway, but overall, Hunter Henry and Tyron Johnson both getting a touchdown along the way. Kind of spreading the ball around pretty good was Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense for a 30-27 win. So there you go, out in the old Southwest, I guess you could say West by Southwest when it comes to Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Chargers. Buffalo and Denver has the first Sunday game. And, man, Buffalo is smashing everybody over. They are trouncing over their opponents, even if they're tough horses like the Broncos. Like a Bronco is a tough horse, but the Buffalo Bills, those Buffaloes are smashing over everybody. 48-19. Bills drop to 5-9. Buffalo Bills are 11-3. The Buffalo Bills, that's right, the Buffalo Bills are 11-3. Please advance in the postseason this time, Buffalo. Please, please don't get beat by like a Houston like last year, like a Houston type of team like last year. That was frustrating. That might be a Baltimore this year, which would be kind of a more on the upstart side, even though they were supposed to be great leading into the season. Josh Allen just keeps getting better and better and better, and Stephon Diggs is happier and happier. 147 yards for Stephon Diggs, and I'm sure he doesn't miss us one bit. And, well, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's an offense that gets the job done. It's a defense that gets the job done. Man, I mean, it's a beautiful football team. I'd love to see the Buffalo Bills win the AFC. In fact, I'm hoping for that to happen, actually. If you want me to be completely open and honest with you, I would love to see the Buffalo Bills win the AFC this year. And maybe it'll happen. Maybe. We'll see. At the moment, they would be the third seed because we get Pittsburgh and Kansas City still. Gosh, go away, Pittsburgh and Kansas City. Kansas City's 13-1. Jeez. Well, Pittsburgh 11-2 at this moment. At the moment. That must mean they're playing Monday Night Football. But, yeah, I mean, Allen's he's got the arm. He's got the athleticism. He's hitting Stephon Diggs. He's also got Cole Beasley helping out, and he's just been spectacular. 112 yards for Cole Beasley on 8 catches. 11 catches for Diggs. 13 targets, a 55-yard play. No end zone for Diggs today, but still a dominant performance. And the Buffalo defense is still damn good. And, man, they are just pounding people right now. Packers, Carolina, that can wait. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, right? Don't you just hate that about Minnesota sports? The Tampa Bay Lightning have 2 Stanley Cups. 2. Minnesota Wild / North Stars, 0. I mean, doesn't that just drive you crazy? Doesn't it just drive you crazy that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a Super Bowl and the Vikings don't? When you consider what the Bucs were and what the Vikings were, say, back in the day, 70s, 80s, 90s. Doesn't that just drive you nuts? Doesn't it drive you crazy? It drives me crazy, let me tell you. They have a Super Bowl. Yep, they have at least one. Obviously, 31-27 with the 6-time Super Bowl champion, Tom Brady, leading the way. No turnovers in the game. Very efficient, almost 400 yards passing. Tom Brady beat his old nemesis. The real nemesis is Brady to Ryan when you consider the Super Bowl, as these two quarterbacks were quarterbacks of one of the greatest comebacks of all time. And it kind of happened to Mr. I feel bad for you, Matt Ryan. Happened to him again. 17-0 Atlanta. 17-0. And who won the football game? Tampa. And, yep, they did. They won the game, didn't they? Atlanta took a 24-7 lead. The Clubs basically exchanged touchdowns in the third quarter there, and then things started to get more and more interesting. Tampa Bay started taking advantage of situations and such. Both quarterbacks had spectacular numbers. It's too bad this couldn't have been a better matchup. I mean, look at Calvin Ridley. My God. Fantasy phenom for you out there. 163 yards and a touchdown for him. Mike Evans, huge game. Remember, he was frustrated last week a bit, but still, who won the football game? Leonard Fournette being a bit of a goal line guy there, kind of finishing off good drives for Tampa with a couple of touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, the former Jacksonville Jaguar, just moving south a little bit to maybe a more interesting team, I guess, than the freaking Jaguars. Atlanta just can't get any ball control, can't get any running game going, but who cares? But then again, I suppose when you pass the ball and the clock stops, sometimes rather than running the ball, maybe that allowed Tampa to come back. I guess. And there were fans at the game because Atlanta and because Georgia and Florida not as Corona-ish, I guess, as other states. Todd Gurley with 1 rush. 1. What the heck? Brian Hill. 5 rushes, and he finished with -2. Wow, that's outstanding. And Tampa does have a great run defense, and that's pretty obvious. 3 sacks for Devin White. And no, not the former Toronto Blue Jays center fielder. Might be his son or something. I mean, shoot. My God, what a dominant performance. 12 total tackles, 10 solo, 3 sacks, 2 pass deflects for Devin White. Devin White, that would be the Tony Dungy Award winner. I'm trying to think of who would be the greatest player in Tampa history. The Warren Sapp Award. The Warren Sapp Award winner would be Devin White, for the Tampa Bay Bucks, the Tampa Bay Schmucks. San Francisco, Dallas. Remember this rivalry back in the old days? Remember in the early '90s and such, and way back in the day also. In the early '80s, the San Francisco 49ers knocked off Dallas and went on to win 4 Super Bowls. Dwight Clark, all that cool stuff. Remember this beautiful rivalry back in the day? Well, they're both 5-9. It's just great. They're both 5-9. It's just great. 41-33. Yuck, Dallas won, and then the wrong team won because I hate Dallas. I'd take San Francisco 10 out of 10 over any Dallas, anytime. Andy Dalton, another solid performance, solid. A couple of touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. I guess the Cincinnati Bengals, Andy Dalton, not bad. Nick Mullins, just whatever he is. He's just a backup quarterback who's forced to start because of the situation, and it's just nothing going for San Francisco. It's San Francisco. It really is. McKinnon with 22 yards, receiving former Viking Jerick McKinnon, and did not get a single rush in the game. Eric Mustard and Jeff Wilson splitting for 128 yards and a touchdown when you combine the two guys. It's not bad. I mean, it's, I guess they're just like us. Just run the ball, I guess. But good numbers and everything. And they scored 33 points, which actually is pretty respectable. But they gave up 41. I don't know about Dallas, about San Francisco anymore. Andy Dalton's doing a good job for Dallas. Let's just be honest about that. Detroit, Tennessee, that was going to be put on hold. So luckily I didn't jump on that too early. And obviously we played Chicago, so I passed that up. I won't make that mistake this week. Thank God. Indianapolis Colts. Who would have thunk it coming into the season? Regardless of how you feel about Phillip Rivers and how great Phillip Rivers is, and he's the best thing ever. At least he was with the Chargers for a while, of San Diego. Maybe 1 year in LA, I guess. Deshaun Watson, nice numbers. Nice numbers for both quarterbacks. Watson had better overall numbers, but he was sacked 5 times by this Indianapolis defense. The same defense that made Kirk Cousins look like a moron. Absolute moron. Shame to think that Indianapolis would be a freaking wild card team, but they would be, because it's just the AFC's really good. The AFC's good. I mean, Buffalo's a third seed with 11-3. Think about that. Tennessee's excellent, 10-4. Man, Indianapolis is damn good. They are damn good. 10-4 on the year at the moment. They got a chance to go 12-4, 11-5 as we get into the Christmas season here, the Christmas week and New Year's week, the holidays, I guess people like to call it. I like to call it by the actual identification, like Hanukkah's Hanukkah and Christmas is Christmas, and yeah, okay, you get the idea. Nyheim Hines, what a nice game for him again. Love the guy. He's got a little speed. On 5 carries, managed 9 yards a carry basically for 43 yards. Give him the ball more, maybe. I don't know, but it was special type of plays, I'm sure, and it was. Jonathan Taylor, very strong performance and keeping the ball moving, but of course, just an overall great defense. Another 3-sack game for somebody. This time it's DeForest Buckner with 3 sacks of Deshaun Watson. And it's moments like that, great plays like that can absolutely murder drives. And that's why the Texans are 4-10 on the season. They stink, and Indianapolis does not stink, to be quite honest. Miami Dolphins continue to also not stink. The Dolphins don't stink anymore. They're 9-5. I like it. I like the Dolphins. I do. I'm kind of sad to see the Patriots disappear off into oblivion. It's amazing they won 6 games this year when you consider how awful they've looked in certain games. I mean, they've had some horse bleep performances this year, regardless if Cam Newton is healthy or not. He is the definition of mediocrity at this point. Sony Michel, awesome numbers considering, but they were playing from behind. Tua was nothing special, but Salvan Ahmed had 122 yards, as did Matt Breida. 86 yards on the ground for him. Well, when your quarterback stinks and the running game's working, I guess just go ahead and run through people, I guess. I guess. I mean, unless you got Patrick Mahomes, I guess you might as well keep running through people. I don't know. And I know you like to take chances, and it's a good thing, but what the hell? I mean, if you're just able to run right through people and they can't do anything about it, what the hell? That's kind of funny when you look at that. It's crazy. It's 208 yards rushing between those two guys. Patrick Lard had multiple double-digit carries, 12 and 8 for 20 yards for Patrick Lard. Laird. Awesome performance for him. Tua, just not that efficient, really. They kind of relied on the running game and their defense, which is, I guess, continuing to happen. Multiple sacks, 3 sacks in the game for the Dolphins, and they just kind of took care of business. Not the prettiest game ever, but it usually isn't, even when in the Tom Brady era versus Miami. Miami always gave Tom Brady trouble, especially in moments where it could mess up things a little bit for the Patriots, at least for a week or two. Love the Dolphins right now. They're 9-5, and keep it up. Keep it up. Miami, they are floating around. Unfortunately for them, they would only be the 7th seed, and they have to compete with frickin' Baltimore for that at the moment. Ooh, boy, that's a shame. We're over in the NFC. You got Arizona 8-6. Chicago's in the hunt. Minnesota's pretty much done. Tampa and Los Angeles Rams are 9-5 because frickin' Seattle won today and they're 10-4. Ick. Go Rams. Screw Seattle. You know, if it's not, I'd rather see the Rams or the 49ers any day over the Seattle sucky Sonics. No, the Seattle sucky Chickens. I can't stand that team. I don't care. Arizona also, but Arizona's kaput. No, actually, they're not kaput. I just said where they were. 8-6. It's because they felt kaput when they were 6-3 and dropped down to 6-6. But they're kind of back in the wild card again, and good for them. Good for them. Good. Yeah, okay, you get the idea. Washington football team, Washington Golden Gophers, Washington Red Tails dropped to 6-8. Unfortunately, they are first place still. The Washington Football Club, just like the Vikings, first place. But their defense is better than the Minnesota Vikings, and their offense is not better, unfortunately. They only managed 15 points. Seattle was only able to manage 20, but they had some good moments down the stretch. Russell Wilson reduced to 121 yards passing because Washington's defense is awesome. Logan Thomas caught 101 yards in the game with 13 catches, pardon me. And whoever the heck was their running back, J.D. McKissick. Great job, J.D. McKissick with 51 yards. Dwayne Haskins is just average at best, and I don't know. It's just one of those kind of he's the quarterback of the future, I guess. He's one of those kind of guys, kind of like whoever the Gopher quarterback is, right? And I'm going to keep saying it. I like the look of this Washington football team. I like the way they play. I like their uniforms. I kind of like it. I almost say leave it alone. I don't know. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it. You know, they keep the color scheme. They have the W. It's not bad. It's really not bad. I kind of hope they keep the color scheme, but I bet everything's going to go away. It is what it is. I kind of like that look. You know, it's really old school, like really old school, without being really weird and boring. I kind of like it. San Francisco's problem, I just called them San Francisco. But they would also be called the Washington football team. Could not manage to get a single sack in the game, and that didn't help. Even though they had pass deflections, they had one interception on Russell Bleeping Wilson. But just nobody can sack the son of a gun, and that's one of the reasons why Seattle's tough to beat. That's why they're 10-4, because you can't sack Russell Wilson. Just bring the son of a gun down, and they can't do it. They just can't do it. Unfortunately for Washington, they just could not take advantage of the crappy Seattle defense. Hard to believe Seattle is a crappy defense, but they do, and they have the last couple of years. Haskins got his 300 yards, but he turned the ball over twice. He turned it over twice and got sacked 4 frickin' times. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah. Pray to God your defense can sack Mr. Russell Wilson and get a huge turnover that leads to a touchdown. It just didn't happen. But I like this Washington football team. I like them. You know, somehow I like them, even though their 6-8 record isn't that pretty. And they started off the season looking like they were going to be competing for Trevor Lawrence. They're completely out of the running for that now. Boy, I bet they could. I bet they'd be happy to have be in that competition though. In a way, keep the great defense. And we'll see. Maybe they'll get a great quarterback in the future. And Alex Smith will have to watch that guy because I don't think it's Dwayne Haskins, man. Baltimore Ravens took advantage of a situation playing against the worst team in the league, basically, other than Cincinnati or something. I don't know. Or actually, the Jets are the worst team in the league, but one of the worst teams in the league. They looked like a decent team against Minnesota, though. They look like the club that got to the AFC title game against us for some reason. It was kind of weird. Baltimore's now 9-5 and knocking on the door with that wild card situation with a 40-14 thrashing of the Yuckyville Jaguars. And Gardner Minshew actually had a really good game. Good for him. Back at it again. Couple touchdowns, no turnovers. Lamar Jackson, though, he's back in the saddle again. 3 touchdowns, great quarterback rating. But again, you're playing as a team that completely stinks. And James Robinson couldn't do anything against that Baltimore front seven. So after he ran right through the Vikings and whoever else during the course of the season, Justin Tucker actually missed a kick in the game. That's unusual. That's quite unusual. Yannick Ngakoue, Mr. Yannick Ngakoue, with 2 sacks in the game. Good for him. I was just talking about how he's pretty much stunk since he got to Baltimore, because he has. He had 5 sacks of the Vikings, and he has had 1 so far, and then he had 2 today. So doubled his total with Baltimore. No, he quadrupled his total, but yeah, he had double the amount. Yeah, well, 8 total sacks on the season now. Good for you, Yannick Ngakoue. It's just crazy, though, when you think about that. It's kind of sad, but he got there right when Baltimore started to go from really super good to really super crappy. He had 5 sacks in 6 games with Minnesota, 1 in 7 games with Baltimore. And you think getting to Baltimore, it's like, here we go. Now I'm on a football. Now this is a team. Like, screw that Viking team. They started 1-5. They're terrible. 1-5. And I had 5 sacks, and I was outstanding for them. He goes to Baltimore and doesn't do anything until today. And it was the Jaguars. But, okay, he's got 8 sacks on the season. And, well, I really liked him here. I don't know what's going to happen with his contract, though, because it's, oh boy. With his performance in Baltimore, I don't know if he's going to get the money he's seeking. I'm not so sure. And a game like this, you can't really gauge a whole lot if Baltimore's back in the swing of things or not, though they had an awesome game against Cleveland last week, and we're talking awesome stuff. Awesome back and forth with Cleveland, the new Browns versus the old Browns. Great Brown Bowl last Monday night. That was some fun stuff. Fun football. Was cheering for Cleveland a bit, even though it's cool to see Baltimore stay alive because I love Lamar Jackson and all that stuff. Something happened today that I'm not believing. I can't believe what happened, and no wonder they're not in first place anymore, and they don't deserve to be. If this was college ball, they'd probably lose about 10 spots in the rankings, and that would be the Los Angeles Rams. Who did the Rams play today? The Jets. The just end the season team, the terrible Jets. They lost to the Jets 23-20. I don't care if they lost by 3 points to the Jets or they lost by 30 points to the Jets. They lost to the Jets. So, Jacksonville, get your Trevor Lawrence jerseys ready, possibly. Don't throw that possibility away just yet, because the Jets are not going to go winless this year. Maybe they just wanted to win a game. I don't know. But what were the Rams doing today? What were they doing? They just could not catch up to this club. They let the Jets get a lead, and they just played around. And can you imagine being down 20-3 to the Jets? Halfway through the third quarter, you'd be like, what is happening here? What the heck? And they barely kept the Jets to a field goal. And I mean barely. At the 3-yard line. Kept them to the 3. Just barely kept the Jets to a field goal. And it's still 23-10 leading into the fourth quarter. They managed 10 points and can't finish the job with one more opportunity down the stretch. They couldn't beat the Jets. Sam Darnold's just mediocre as ever. Goff, 1 interception. Akers was okay. Frank Gore had one of his better games of the year. Hall of Fame watch. Frankie Gore, 3rd all-time, and he had a touchdown today. Good for him. 29 yards on the ground, but not much of a yards per carry. But, they ran the ball enough and burned the clock enough to beat the Los Angeles Rams. Wow. New York versus L.A. Yeah, big showdown, right? They beat the Rams in L.A. That's pretty funny, actually. In SoFi Stadium. It's not the Coliseum anymore. Coliseum was classic, man. Classic as it gets. They beat the Rams. The Jets beat the Rams. The Jets beat the Rams. Yeah. Arizona beat Philadelphia, too. Philadelphia won the Super Bowl in 2017. Don't forget, Yeah, that means a whole lot right now, right? Yeah, it still hurts, actually. It still Jalen hurts us a lot. But Jalen was beat by, yeah, we all know who he is. Kyler Murray. No, Andy Lee also had a 26-yard play. 3 touchdowns for Kyler Murray. Jalen Hurts, way better than Carson Wentz. I think they're ready. I think it's over already. I think Carson Wentz is done. 3 touchdowns, 300 yards. Nice numbers, but unfortunately, just playing from behind forever, 16-0, and they finally got on the board, and they're just behind by more, and they just couldn't get the job done. They wound up tying it up, though. Great job, Jalen Hurts, actually getting them all the way to a tie game going into the fourth quarter, but then they can't win, them being the Eagles on the road in Zona. Kyler Murray ended up leading his club down the field, DeAndre Hopkins in particular, with Mike Nugent putting the Arizona Cardinals up midway through the fourth, 33-26, and unfortunately for Philly, that'd be the final score. But yes, they may have lost today, and it might be frustrating and sad and all that stuff. You got your 9th loss of the year, which probably is curtains for the Cardinals, curtains for the Eagles. But you have a quarterback now, looks like, as frustrating as Wentz was and how amazing he was back in 2017 and 2016 and all that. As amazing as he looked. Looks like you got your real quarterback of the future now, because for some reason Wentz just lost it. I don't know what happened, but offense spread around very nicely. Jalen Reagor, Zach Ertz, who killed the Vikings, Alshon Jeffrey. I don't even want to say these names. I can't stand it. It's painful. Painful, terrible memory, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Nice to see, though, for Philadelphia. A quarterback throwing 3 touchdowns and not turning the ball over. That's pretty good. Kansas City, New Orleans, yeah, we get back to that later. That actually ended up being a hell of a game. There was a moment where the Saints might have won, and they didn't because something happened. We'll get to that later. Looks like that's it. Yep, Cleveland and New York Giants, as per tradition. Sunday Night Football in the background in segments number 2 and 3. And there it goes. There it goes. Everybody's favorite guy. Mr. Mayfield there, completing a deep pass down the field. Baker Mayfield, number 6, the weirdest number ever for a star quarterback, but I guess. New York Giants are up 3-0. That's funny. Cleveland Browns, let's go Browns. Let's go Browns. Right, Vince Germano? Let's go Browns. Yep. Hey, I say let's go. And, of course, Kevin Stefanski. Who can't root for him? Let's get them to 10-4. Gotta love what Cleveland's got. Hopefully they can do something in the postseason. I hope so. I really do. So let's look at the NFC North if we can, humanly possible. Green Bay Slackers versus the Carolina Slackers. Basically, they slacked off pretty bad. Both teams slacked off. It's just kind of a meh game. And had people frustrated and cursing. This is Saturday Night Football. Very mediocre, hard to watch game. Unless you like running the football again. It's really funny how a lot of us keep saying how, yes, Vikings are too focused on the run. They're not creative. And then you look across the league and it's just happening everywhere. Or it's just the game kind of went that way. Because Aaron Rodgers was just kind of mediocre. And he was sacked 5 times by that Carolina defense. But Aaron Jones just kind of ran through that club like warm butter. He averaged 7.5 yards a carry. 145 yards and only 20 carries. Aaron Jones, just no problem. Even though that the passing game was sputtering a little bit, they just kept running and running and running, Tecmo Bowl style, with Bo Jackson basically, and away they went. Teddy Bridgewater, very, very mediocre. He got his 250 yards, but not a whole lot else to brag about at the end of the day. Zadarius Smith always seems to wind up with at least 1 sack along the way. Both Derek Brown and Brian Burntz, who was frustrating for the Vikings a few weeks back, each getting multiple sacks versus Aaron Rodgers and the frickin' Packers. Tennessee Titans were very Titan-like performance today with a 10-4 record in first place. In the AFC South, they looked more and more like a division champion, even though they kind of messed around in Detroit today. They managed 22 points in that fourth quarter to just kind of put the dagger in if there was no doubt that Tennessee's a better team than Detroit. If there was ever a doubt, they led the whole game and they stomped around. Detroit was hanging around at times, but that's about it. And then Tennessee would continue to put the clamps down and put the pedal to the metal, so to speak. Ryan Tannehill, just an almost perfect performance, only sacked once, no turnovers. Quarterback rating way up on the moon with 145.8. Derrick Henry ran right through that Detroit defense. It was a well-oiled machine, was this Tennessee offense, along with their defense is always tough, always very restrictive, and they just did a damn good job. Matt Prater missed an extra point. Come on, Matt Prater. That guy, what happened to him? he kind of came out of his funk, and then he missed an extra point. Sounds like Dan Bailey a little bit, but that's how that goes. NFC North is what it is, though. I mean, it's Green Bay and daylight second. I'm sorry to say, it's daylight second. What's Detroit's 5-9? That's last place. Chicago 7-7 second. Minnesota 6-8 third. So all of our positions are defined at this stage with our record. There's no tie. There's no tiebreaker needed. Detroit's in last, like they normally are wont to do. It seems like Chicago's all the way up in second with their oldest rival ever, the Green Bay Slackers. They played each other 200 times over the years with their 100 years of existence in the NFL. And boy, oh boy. And Minnesota stinking at 6-8, unfortunately. So now we'll talk about the Nolan Saints. We get to renew the rivalry yet again. And this is kind of about what I expected if there was a Super Bowl last year. A fairly close game with the Chiefs coming on top. I actually picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl last year before the season. And I was right. I was actually right. Which doesn't happen all the time. When I picked the Patriots sometimes, then I was right, sure. But then I kept picking them every year, basically, and then they didn't win anymore. That kind of thing. It got kind of funny back in the day. But, hey, I was right a few times there. The Chiefs, though, yeah, I mean, I have them going back-to-back, just like I might have the Lakers going back-to-back. Check out Timberwolves Explosion Season Preview 2020-2021. That's the funniest tongue twister ever. But say that fast about 3 times. 2020-2021. Just rolls right off your tongue. Just like Superdome. That rolls right off your tongue, too. On December 20th, 2020. Ooh. 32-29. Pretty good game. New Orleans had the opportunity of a lifetime, basically, when you consider who you're playing against. You're playing against the world champion Chiefs, who were 12-1 coming into the game. Now they're 13-1, and probably going to go 15-1 or 14-2 at absolute worst. They're not going 13-3 unless they just say screw it, Screw it. We're not going to test our fate here and have people get injured and blow an opportunity of a lifetime to win another Super Bowl. But the Saints, to get to the point, had a golden opportunity with the fumble. The ball's in the end zone, and well, guess what? Yeah, the ball was as it was getting recovered by the Saints player, it was knocked away accidentally, as he was going too aggressive. That is big hair yeti blonde Alex Anzalone, the linebacker of the New Orleans Saints, the Yeti, right? No, I'm not trying to be mean, but he was a rookie in 2017. He looks a lot older than this, but I guess so. From Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. Why are you missing? Wyomissing? That's the weirdest city name I've ever heard in my life. It looks like Wyoming and then with missing. Okay. Why are you missing? Yeah, well, why were you missing on this play, Alex? Because it's a touchdown for the Saints. It would have been a touchdown. And, when you're kind of falling on the ball and your legs are kind of sliding forward because the momentum, when you're running a little bit too fast, his knee or right below the knee or whatever knocked the ball out of bounds. A safety, that's nice. The Saints get the ball back. But how about a free touchdown instead? That would have been great. I think I'd be okay. But at least they got the ball back. But, oh, wait. You know what sucks about that? It was right at halftime. Oh, that sucks. Yeah. No time left. That would have been devastating for the Chiefs to cough up a fumble. And it basically would have been a fumble six right there in the end zone for the Saints. But he knocked the ball out. Oh, Alex. Oh, that was funny. Drew Brees is back just in time to play us. That's great. That's just great. Alex, we'll see what happens. He's got 4 sacks in his career. Good for him. He was picked in the 3rd round by the Aints, who are still pretty good at 10-4. But, well, they're going to win their division, very likely. We'll see, though. Maybe Tampa still got a small shot at it at 9-5. But Green Bay is in first right now in the NFC. Green Bay's not beating Kansas City in the Super Bowl, unfortunately. For the Packers, anyway. Unfortunately for the Packers, Green Bay's not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think anybody beats the Chiefs in the NFC right now, except maybe the Saints, I guess. Maybe they have a shot if they get another opportunity like that, but I doubt it. The Saints still look dangerous. They're still what they are. They're the Saints, and the Vikings have to play on the road in Detroit and New Orleans. but maybe we'll actually win both games because we are good on the road and we suck at home. Drew Brees, not bad. I mean, he wasn't super efficient throughout the game. It looked a little rusty. That's why his quarterback rating was down to 84.7. He did have one interception, but only one, unfortunately. It was nothing too devastating. Patrick Mahomes, just his usual 3 touchdowns and just another big-time game. Not the greatest numbers of all time for him, not the most efficient numbers of all time, but still good enough. Because the Saints' defense is decent. It's respectable. Latavius managed only 3 yards. Oof, again, that Chiefs defense is fairly stingy. And Le'Veon Bell is kind of getting back in the swing of things, isn't he? He got 62 yards and a touchdown, sharing the ball with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as the two guys combined for about, looks like, 141 yards and the single touchdown by Le'Veon Bell. Nice combo platter there between those two guys. Keep Bell healthy, it'll keep Helaire healthy, I guess, so to speak, which the Vikings should do a little bit more with Madison. At least give him 6 or 7 carries or something. It won't kill him. It won't kill Dalvin Cook. He's still getting his money. He's still going to get his money. He's still going to get this goal line, smashes for touchdowns. It's still going to happen. So why not mix it up a little bit? Seriously, I don't understand. You can't put all your eggs in one basket because when you do, you lose. Vikings put all their eggs in Kirk Cousins' basket, you lose. Same thing with Dalvin Cook. Trey Hendrickson of the Saints with a couple of sacks, and Patrick Mahomes, actually a pretty nice game for him. But Mahomes has got the Chiefs to the number 1 record in football. And I'll just continue to say, looking more and more like a back-to-back world champion team. Kansas City world champions, it's the weirdest thing ever, but I guess it's possible. I mean, we got to see the Royals win a World Series 30 years after they did, and the Chiefs win a Super Bowl over 50 years after they were able to. Nope, exactly 50 years. It's right on the anniversary, isn't it? What's up with Kansas City and anniversaries, huh? The 85 World Champion Royals, 2015 World Champion Royals, 1969 Chiefs, 2019 Chiefs. So I guess they're not going to win again for 30, 40 years. Chiefs are going to choke. Unless this really is a dynasty type of team, and they probably are. At least maybe even a miniature dynasty. They just go back to back. Well, hopefully for their sake, they don't have to wait 30 to 50 years, but I guess we'll see once the postseason comes around. Let's talk about the Saints instead of the Chiefs, but I talked about the Chiefs a lot today. What the hell? The Saints are what they are, obviously. They're a threat. You got... Obviously, you have Drew Brees. He's not going to be as sharp as he ever was. He's 41 years old, by the way, and he's had multiple broken ribs. Alvin Kamara is dangerous. Will Lutz is still there. Thomas Morstead is still there, just like our 2 kickers, thankfully. Cameron Jordan is still there. Oh boy, we know what Cameron Jordan can do, and we know about the beautiful playoff win last year. Vikings overall history versus the Saints: 23-12-0, 23-12-0, and remember our playoff history. The Vikings our only loss to the Saints in the postseason was the 2009 NFC Championship game, 31-28 in overtime. Favre across the body, Adrian at the goal line, Adrian again, and then frickin' God, I don't want to remember these guys' names anymore. What was his frickin' name? Bernard Berrien fumbled. Stupid POS. Bernard Berrien fumbled. Yeah, I'm not bitter though. Percy Harvin was fumbling, but he managed to hang on. He managed to get his hand out to say, okay, yeah, you can stay right with me. And that loss to the Saints in OT gave the Vikings a losing streak after, again, tons of success versus the Saints. We had a 4-game losing streak to the Aints dating back to that game, including a 20-9 fairly convincing win in New Orleans in 2014. And then you had that butt-whooping, solid, awesome game by, because the Saints were just kind of all offense in like those mid-2010s. They were just all offense and their defense was meh. But then the team just got super dangerous in 2017 as the year progressed. That beautiful game with Sam Bradford, and little did we know just how good this Vikings team was going to be. You could sense they were going to be super good, despite Teddy Bridgewater being gone and Sam Bradford's the quarterback, and but Sam Bradford was his second year with the Vikings, and he was a captain, and everything was really cool. And we all know what happened the next week. His knee was like, okay, I don't think I could play anymore. It was weird. Vikings had a 4-game win streak from 2002 to 2008. I remember that 2008 game was back and forth. It was an absolute mess. It was crazy. It was frustrating. And it was really something. Just like in 2002, the Vikings went for two. We went to overtime, and Mike Tice did something I would have done. As risky as it was, you had the best goal line threat in the game, and that was quarterback Dante Culpepper in 2002. Even though he was a fumble threat and he fumbled the snap, he bobbled the snap, but he was able to pick it up and run it in 32-31. That's what started a 4-game win streak from 02 to 08. Because the Vikings didn't play the Saints every year back in those days. But, man, how many years in a row have the Vikings played the Saints now? 17. And then later that season, in the playoffs, we had the Minneapolis Miracle. And then in 18, where the Saints beat the Vikings, and on October 28th, they got their revenge, right? And then they were the best team in football that whole year until the Rams beat them, basically. And then, beat them with a, massive pass interference that wasn't called. But whatever, that's okay, I guess. And then, and then we played them in the postseason. So we find a way to play them one way or another, and had the spectacular win against the Saints. Beautiful, beautiful play to Adam Thielen. And then that ultimately led to the Kyle Rudolph in the end zone, kind of a slight push-off, I guess you could say, where Kyle Rudolph was able to bring it in and give us the win in OT, where the Saints would never see the ball, just like how Brett Favre never got the ball in 2009 in overtime. Vikings had so many chances in 2009 to go to that Super Bowl, so it was almost like the football gods, as they call them, were saying, no, you've had enough chances, screw you. And it's just kind of like, it's ironic and sad at the same time. Drew Brees never got to see the ball. Yeah, it was the wild card round, though. It wasn't the NFC title game. It was the wild card round. It's only 3 rounds earlier, so yay. Okay, 2 rounds earlier, but it feels like 3. Fun history with this club, obviously winning in the postseason and obviously dominating during the 70s when they were the Aints. They were terrible. And in the 80s, they're kind of all over the place in the Archie Manning era. And of course, Manning was actually in the 70s. In the 80s, it was guys like... He was all over the place. Like, Jim Everett wasn't until the 90s. He was kind of mediocre at best. Jim Everett was the Rams quarterback for quite a while as well during like the 80s and early 90s. 44-10 though. Yeah, that was a butt whooping. That 87 Viking club picking up some of that momentum from the Twins, who had just won the World Series a few months earlier. That was pretty cool watching the Vikings go to the NFC title game, but unfortunately it just, wasn't meant to be long term. Not so much. Fun history with the clubs. How do the Vikings do against the Saints right now? I got to think, Drew Brees is going to be warming up, ready to roll. The hope is that our secondary continues to be strong, generally speaking, though they weren't that great today. The running game, I expect the Saints' running game to be a lot better than it was today against the Chiefs, who again are well coached defensively. It's not the best defense, but it's good. It is a legitimate bend but don't break defense. They legitimately get the job done. They'll give up some yards and this and that, but they'll be stingy, and they'll stop you when they need to, just like they did to the Vikings last season. In a game that would have really helped the Vikings last year, but cost us dearly, because we could have beat the Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes. He could have taken advantage of Patrick Mahomes' midseason knee injury, where he missed 3 games. That was a bummer. Golden opportunity for the Vikings to actually beat the Chiefs, but we never win an Arrowhead. We just don't. Not since the 70s, and it wasn't the Arrowhead Stadium at the time. Not since 75. Saints, obviously the history is much more positive, but the momentum of these two clubs are quite different. Obviously the Saints continue to win football games until today. And again, consider who they beat. And I don't think they're going to be messing around next week. I think they want to keep rolling on Christmas Day, of course. That's when the game is, at 3:30. So, yes, there'll probably be a release of Purple Mafia on Christmas night or the next day. Maybe I'll say screw that and record it the next day. Maybe I'll just record the first segment on Christmas Day. We'll see. And, yep, there's the fumble, and out of the end zone it goes. That was just, would have tied the game. It would have tied the game, but it didn't. Would have tied the game. But no, Drew Brees, I think he'll put up his 300 something, whatever, but I also expect the Saints running game, since everyone wants to run the ball all of a sudden, will be one of the reasons why the Vikings lose the game. I think Alvin Kamara is going to get things going, and of course there'll be some of those short, those screen plays to Alvin Kamara, and I expect Latavius Murray to get his 50 or 60 yards against Minnesota as well. It should be a thorough, convincing win by the Saints over the Vikings on Christmas Day in the Bayou. Saints win, Saints win. Unfortunately, there will be points scored by both clubs. It may be very similar to this one, honestly. Might end up being very similar. Something like 32 Saints. Saints of 32, Minnesota 24, Minnesota 27, Minnesota 31. It's going to be something along the likes. I'll go 32-27, where the Saints end up winning the game. The Vikings have chances here and there, but they fail. When it's time to get the job done, they fail. I expect Dan Bailey to continue his solid kicking. It's 1 week in a row, I know, but I do think he'll get his little streak started up again. He's got 2 in a row now, and I think Dan Bailey will be successful in New Orleans when he's given the opportunity to kick the ball. I just don't believe that the Vikings will win the game. Saints win, Vikings get 27 points, but end up losing, because they'll give up 30 points again to another team, and this one's significantly better. We'll see some exciting moments. The Vikings will have some chances in this game to win, but I just feel they don't. At the end of the day, Vikings drop to 6-9, which ultimately probably rounds things out at 7-9 for the season. Just like Mike Zimmer's first year with the Vikings, because the year before we were horrendous. So you're just kind of starting to build for the future that year. I think we're going back to 7-9, and I don't know. Some people would probably wish that this would be Zimmer's last year. 7-9 at the beginning and 7-9 at the end. Would be nice to have some younger blood, maybe an offensive coach, a guy who's a little more, modern per se, rather than just run the ball, just super ultra conservative. Sometimes the ultra-conservative works, but it doesn't seem to work all the time. Would it be nice to have Bieniemy as our coach? Of course it would. Not sure if that's going to happen. Darrell Bevel, right? No. Darrell Bevel type of offense, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the hell. One way or another, the Chiefs beat the Saints. But at the end of the day, I think the Saints beat the Vikings and jump up to 11-4. And they have a shot at 12-4. And they're going to get some home field advantage. We'll see how much. Because unfortunately for them, this year only one team will have home field advantage. And the Packers won, and they're 11-3. So it is what it is when it comes to slackers versus Saints. The Saints have their work cut out for them at the moment. They got to catch up because the slackers have it. 11-3 on the season. I don't see Green Bay winning any Super Bowl, but I guess stranger things have happened. They did win when they were only 10-6. So who knows? Saints win, bottom line. We'll be back after this for Fan Interaction. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 3. Looks like this one's going to be significantly shorter than some in the past, but I guess we'll see where things go and how some of the comments or feelings carry me through this one. At Purple Mafia Show is the Twitter account. No call-in or audio submission or whatever you'd like to call it. But if you would like to do that, it would be greatly helpful, like Mad Martin does very often. It's so great. Tanae Brown, Mark Carlson, like he did for the Freedom of Thought out there. So, any of you, Dave Hickey, Gerald String, basically all you have to do is open any free voice recording application on the planet, press record, treat it like a phone call, hit stop, and then email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com, paladinolive@yahoo.com. That email address is in the show description if you want to just copy and paste, make it quick and easy for yourself. You can share, you just kind of share it to that email address, and there you go. You'll be on the air with me in segment number 3. It rhymed. Unintentionally. Purple Mafia Show. Malcolm McSween liked the Mad Martin post for sure when he talked about how this stat says that all regulation losses with 39 minutes plus of possession this season. Vikings have 2 losses in that case. Rest of the NFL, zilch. And then We Are Who We Thought We Were, episode 332, episode 332 last week. We Are Who We Thought We Were was liked by Malcolm McSween and retweeted by Malcolm McSween out of California, Vince Germano out of Australia, and Tanae Brown out of New Zealand. Can't thank you guys enough for doing that and passing on the show to your Twitter followers. It is just greatly appreciated. Those of you that do that is so nice, so helpful. No doubt about that. Mad Martin says, after the kicker, the thing that really pissed me off was the play calling. My God, how bloody slow. In that third and fourth quarter, it was like they were sitting on a 2-score lead, not a bleeping 2-score deficit. And it kind of felt that way today also, didn't it, Dave Martin? It certainly did. Yep, now it's frustrations again in the aftermath of the Vikings loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks. I get the vibe, like how it's literally like the audience just died after that Tampa Bay loss. It seems like that I have not gotten new likes for Purple Mafia very often, like once in a blue moon, and then a couple people seem to disappear here and there, and it's kind of sad. So I don't know. I hope it's not me. I hope if it's just the Vikings and then people come back and numbers go back up and this and that, it'd be nice. Obviously, the listenership has been pretty solid most of the year, despite the not-so-good season. But the incredible... But yeah, I mean, it's sad to see people kind of leaving the pages and such here and there. No notable people that I know about, but of course, there are people that were regulars in the past that have completely vanished, and it's sad. I didn't see them all year. Like the Mayor Henrys, didn't see them all year. I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't know. There's a tweet about the Greek Freak on the 5-year, $228 million extension, Supermax. That was, good for him, I guess. That was a couple days ago, though, during the course of the week. That's the Greek Freak for the Milwaukee Bucks, of course. Good to see Wisconsin. That's a Wisconsin team I don't mind as much as the Packers. Great opening drive. Not, said Mad Martin. Yep, not. And that's pretty much the case at the end of the day. The Bill and Ted with the not. It's true, though. Next one was, this is total garbage, but not surprised one bit. I wasn't either. I really wasn't. I was like retweeting and having a conversation with him. And he says, how the hell do we turn this team around with the money invested? Cousins needs an O-line that can protect and with hardly any cap space. No chance. See, that's the problem. It's too many eggs in one basket. Quarterbacks are too freaking expensive. And I don't know. I mean, unless it's Patrick Mahomes, you're kind of screwed. Because everybody's giving quarterbacks $30 million. Would you give Dak Prescott $30 million? It's like, no. Is he better than Kirk Cousins? In some ways, yes. In some ways, not necessarily. I mean, it's that second/third tier that they just don't do it for you. You wish they could be more reasonable and have more of a team-friendly contract, some of these guys. I mean, even Patrick Mahomes, eventually that's going to catch up with the Chiefs as well. Of course it is. Right now, they're fine. So the Chiefs, I don't anticipate them winning 4 Super Bowls or anything unless they really know what the hell they're doing in terms of putting guys together again, or certain players literally just take one for the team, which you can't expect that all the time. If a guy does an awesome job and he's worth $80 million, $100 million, and you think he's going to sell for like 1/3 of that just so he can stay on the team, it doesn't always work that way. It just doesn't. So it's unfortunate, but that's how that goes. Continue. Matt Martin says, DS not turned up tonight. Clearly not bothered by making the play. Yep, he's saying the D is not turned up. Yep, the defense not turned up tonight. Clearly not bothered by making the playoffs. Yeah, it's like they don't. It just didn't look like they cared, did it? Yep, I was saying it's literally a lifeless vibe. I'll understand going for 4th and 1 on your own 34. I'll never understand that. We literally just gave them points. Ben Martin says, I think we need new coaches that understand 2020's NFL football. I kind of do. I kind of do as well. I mean, sometimes coaches get it later on. Zimmer's kind of stuck in some other place. I'm not sure, and it's a crying shame. I wish it wasn't the way it is, but it is what it is. It really is. I was thinking Tyler Conklin is underrated and very athletic. Rick Schmidt liked that one. Mad Martin says, season saving, now can the old deliver? Yep, and of course they didn't. That was the interception by Cameron Dantzler. Mad Martin says, yet again, garbage. When they need to move the ball, they fail big style. Season over, brother. At least I will not waste Christmas Day. Yep, so apparently he's going to... See, that's probably what's really happening. People are kind of checking out. Once you lost the 7th game to Tampa Bay, and that was kind of like a team you needed to really either get around them or Arizona, I think most fans were like, bleep it. And I do think that's part of the reason. Just don't leave the page completely, or don't, stop tweeting me, I hope. Please don't. Matt Marr says 60 seconds to save the season. Can they do it? And again, that was after that horrible drive, and then now, we were able to keep Chicago to a field goal. Lucky us. And of course they didn't. Malcolm was liking that and hoping, and I was like, of course not. So irritating. And yeah, Matt Martin didn't even respond at that point. He was probably just beyond words at that stage. Like, whatever, that was garbage. Or same old crap. So at Purple Mafia Show, at Purple Mafia Show. Notifications popping in. That's kind of weird, and in places you wouldn't expect. Okay, let's continue. So from the most recent episode on Facebook, facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show, and boy, was it dead today for a while until some guys came to the rescue. Brett McCarthy, thank you. Not even Kurt Back was on there. It's kind of sad, Not Mark Carlson. I think he was, I think he pops in the post game. Yep, he was saying how he wasn't able to really watch much. And that's how it goes as well. I mean, and when the season is just not good, I can understand where the priority list would drop off. And, of course, it's Christmas week and all that. And a lot of times numbers are sucky for a little while during this time of year. It's just how it goes. People are doing other things. You'd think they'd have more time and would listen to podcasts. Maybe they do. I don't know. And other times they really don't. They're actually even more busy, even though they're not working. Because podcasts can save your job, can save your day at work sometimes. I mean, let me tell you, even if it's just on your break, or if you're unable to listen while you're working, but especially during like lawn service or something, it's so nice. Or just working around the house. If you're not super busy doing this and that, getting prepared for Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, and all the above. So let's keep moving. I was saying, episode 3032, blah blah blah. It's on all the different applications. Gerald String, and this is where I messed up last week a little bit. He says, well, I guess I thought the Tarkin Award would be a piece of cake, but yes, Cousins probably outplayed Brady, so I can't argue. My choice was Dalvin. I should have known. And I apologize. Because it's not like Cousins was great last week, but he actually had a really good game. Dalvin was extremely good considering who he was going up against. The number one run defense in the league. He was awesome. To get over 100 yards against a team that averages 70 yards per game, period. That would be like multiple running backs, maybe a quarterback scamper, this and that. And still, over 100 yards himself. Pretty good. You're saying his choice is Dalvin based on how many touches he had in the last few weeks. He was just grinding out there. And again, him being Dalvin Cook. Twisting, turning, driving. Just thought he was an animal to crank out 100-plus yards on that D-line. And I think you're right. I think I blew it a little bit. I remember, I got, my throat tightened a little bit when I was saying that. And I was thinking, I'm missing out something here. My brain's just stopping. And it did. I don't know. I guess I really appreciated the way Cousins played. And so I'll continue. I'm not saying he's more talented than AP, again, him being Dalvin Cook, but his desire to win is greater. And a little less selfish than I thought AP was at times. Much less. And he's much more versatile than AP could ever hope to be. Cook's not afraid to catch passes. He laid out a great block on a pass play. He was my easy MVP, LOL, but like your choice also. I was never in favor of that first big contract and not trying to be a Cousins apologist, but I'm not sure I could name 10 quarterbacks that I would rather have on our team right now. He seems to get it done. I would certainly draft a quarterback in the next draft, though, so we have a guy behind Cousins for a couple of years. If Garoppolo and Foles can make it to a Super Bowl, I'm fairly certain Cousins can also. Thanks for another great podcast and for all the time and work you put in. Much appreciated, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gerald. P.S. I do love the title, though. That was funny. Yep, we are who we thought we were. Yeah, yep. Yeah, I can see how Cousins is a top 10 kind of guy. He is when he's really focused and he doesn't make weird mistakes at the beginning of second halves, which drives us all up the wall. And I do think Cook's versatility makes him somebody I would rather have than Adrian Peterson. I think he is. If he can stay healthy and consistent, he could be a Hall of Fame running back also. No question about it. And then he adds those other nuances that Adrian refused to. Absolutely refused to. Something both of them do, which is really irritating, is fumble the ball. Extremely irritating. Though Adrian is literally a Hall of Fame fumbler. Like, he's up there with Dave Craig and Warren Moon and Dante Culpepper. He's unbelievable. Hang on to the frickin' ball, Adrian Peterson. Garoppolo and Foles, yes. Garoppolo lost, unfortunately, but Foles absolutely annihilated everybody. And now he sucks. Garoppolo had a really strong couple of years, and now he kind of, is off the face of the earth a little bit as well. There is one more comment floating around in here. I do believe Mark Carlson out of Iowa says perfect title. Yep, and I agree with that. It is pretty funny. Yep, Gerald String was laughing at that one, if I do believe that was him. Gerald String does have that sense of humor. Yes, he does. Gerald String's out of Nebraska, and he's a great dude. Obviously, very awesome guy. Randy Moss. Now, this is Sports and Yahoo. Randy Moss calls himself the best receiver ever, says Jerry Rice. Says Jerry Rice is third or fourth. So, I'm guessing this is another way I might have lost somebody this week. I might have lost one or two of the people out there. Somebody that probably doesn't know me well, probably doesn't even listen to the show. They just happen to be on the page. Because when I shared this article, I wrote, sometimes Moss just rubs me the wrong way. Every time I think he gets it, he says something like this. And it's the fact that he put Jerry Rice down to third or fourth. Hey, really? Really? Like, and then saying, oh, Montana and all that, it's like it's overrating Jerry Rice. Not necessarily. If Jerry Rice was just kind of an okay receiver, he would have let Joe Montana down at times. Both quarterback and receiver need each other. That's just the way it is. They need each other. Dan Marino didn't have good receivers. That's why he never won a championship. And I know there's kind of an argument. But here's the thing. Dan Marino, you know why Dan Marino never had good receivers? I'll come back to the guy that was... this is the guy that might have left the page, actually. We'll come back to him in a moment. First, we'll go to Jesse Ball here. Jesse Ball, and luckily I don't think he left. I hope you didn't leave, Jesse. Just Randy being Randy, and I get that too. I do. The current Vikings could use some of his attitude. Also, you don't get to the Hall of Fame thinking you're just average. Most Super Bowls do believe they're the best. And that's fine. I don't disagree that Moss is one or two all time. That he's number one or number two. The most talented man to ever play wide receiver, Randy Moss. The best ever overall wide receiver. It's kind of a toss-up between him and Jerry Rice. It's not me saying Moss is an ass for saying he's the best ever. I think Moss is an ass for putting Jerry Rice to third or fourth. Come on, man. Jerry Rice is second at least. He's at least second, man. That's what I don't like, is the put down. It's the put down that kind of pissed me off a little bit. You don't have to think Jerry Rice is a spectacular player, but the put down, I think, I just saw that. I thought that was kind of a put down, like Rice is way below. I just imagine Moss kind of saying that. Gerald String says, SMH, like shaking my head, except for Jerry Rice, has a few Super Bowl rings. Apparently being a team player has no meaning for him. That has always been the standard for quarterbacks, but I guess he just must be that special. Yeah, and then Heather Hagdorn, this may be the one that left the page. I don't know. I hope not. She told Gerald String, Dan Marino was one of the greats. He never got a ring. Shut up, dude. I don't like shut up, dude. I don't like that kind of talk very much. That's not the nicest thing I've ever read. Unless somebody was being super disrespectful, which I don't think Gerald String was right there. So, I don't know. Maybe they left the page. I hope they didn't. I'd prefer more the merrier on the page, as long as we're respectful to each other. Dan Marino, here's the same reason. I think Dan Marino doesn't have a ring, the same reason Moss doesn't have a ring. They're both asses, quite frankly. They're both asses. Dan Marino was an ass. Anytime somebody dropped the ball, he would go off on the guy. Or they weren't exactly where he wanted them to be, and every time Marino threw an interception, he would literally go off on the guy. Now, I know Tom Brady can be an ass too, but he was just that much better than any of them. Of course, Marino was great, but nobody wanted to play with the guy because he was an ass. Randy Moss was a good teammate, but he was just kind of generally got an ass side to him, I guess. Particularly with the media, he just kind of spouts off when it comes to the media. I never brought this up on the show because I thought, it's not worth it because maybe I might say something I'll regret. I thought Moss made an ass of himself during his Hall of Fame induction. I did. I appreciate what Randy Moss did for this franchise. I appreciate what he did changing the game, and 98 was just so much freaking fun. It just sucked the way he won the league. See, in some ways, unfortunately, his dominance took some of the deep game away, which was kind of a bummer because that was so much fun to watch. And then the cover two slowed that down, and then you have to counter that with the West Coast offense, or like multiple tight ends, which usually involves West Coast offense and such different layers of the West Coast offense, different formulas of it, this and that, because every coach is different. It might be a West Coast offense, but a different formula of it, different layer of it. this is what kind of, I figured this would be a discussion on the show. Moss does make an ass of himself sometimes. That doesn't mean I hate him. That doesn't mean I'm going to just go off on him and say he's an ass and he's only the fourth best receiver. That's the whole point. Neither of you are the fourth best receiver, Randy. You're 1 and 2. And it's interchangeable, I guess. Jerry Rice might have been a better teammate. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was kind of a karma thing, the way Moss acted. And saying, I'm getting me a Super Bowl ring. I don't know if it's here or somewhere else, but I'm getting me a Super Bowl ring. And you notice how he never did after he said that. That was when the Vikings got obliterated by the Giants. He said, I'm getting me a Super Bowl ring if it's here or somewhere else, where it made it sound like he doesn't care if it's here. He just, as long as he gets it. That type of thing. That didn't sound good either. I'm not anti-Moss that much, but I don't like the attitude either at times. I just wish, we love transparency. We love people that speak their mind. We do. But some of the stuff, though, isn't the best. So I'll leave that as is. Randy Moss, you're either number 1 or number 2 all time. Jerry Rice, I think, is number 1 or number 2 all time. Whatever Moss isn't, Rice is the other. At the end of the day, between 1 and 2. Neither one of them should be 3rd or 4th. Why do you got to put him lower? Screw it. He's better. Jerry Rice is better than Terrell Owens. I'm sorry. I think so. Terrell Owens. Come on, man. That guy was nuts. Talk about a flake. Vikings sign kicker to practice squad and elevate cornerback. And that was the guy with that funny name. No comments, just a like. Let's get into the game comments. It's about 1/4 of what we've had this year on an average show, if even less than that. About a quarter, if not an eighth. That's how reduced it was this week. It was stunning. So, Gerald String says, was a hard-fought game. Trubisky always kills us with his feet. Exactly. Don't know why our front can't stay in their lanes when we play them. I'm not sure either. Brett McCarthy saying, that's the game. Wow, just wow. Couldn't believe some of the mistakes. Dave Hickey says, Vikings run defense is getting shredded. And I was saying, that's for damn sure. Dave Hickey. Conklin is on his game today, and he really is. He's been good. Come on, Irv Smith, you got to make that catch. Yep, Dave Hickey out of Iowa. Yeah, that was the one in the end zone that would have really helped, I think. Dave Hickey says, my wave says Dan Bailey looks like a porn star with his mustache. Oh, man. Ouch. Yep. Brett McCarthy says, okay, you would think we would have learned the last Bears game. We can't run up the middle against the Bears. And, yeah, exactly. Good call there. We really can't. Mike Dale, there he is. Jeez, where'd you go? Yep, it's always sad. Sorry, not able to watch today's game. Lots of errands and other stuff I need to get done around the place before Christmas. So I understand. Yep, that's how it is sometimes. That's how it is. I have busy schedule. You have busy schedule. That's how it goes. But hope all is well, Mike, and thank you for checking in. Thank you very much for checking in. Brett McCarthy was saying defense is terrible today, and that's for damn sure. Malcolm McSpeen was saying it's going to be a nail-biter, and it sure was. Brett McCarthy at the beginning, morning and school. Dave Hickey, Iowa. Again, Brett McCarthy's from South Dakota. Says, that freaking run on 4th and 1 didn't work last time, and we do it again. Stupid. And then you do it again. Stupid. Yep. Very stupid. I agree with that. Good call there. There was a terrible, We're too predictable. Again, like the whole Tecmo Bowl thing. Post-game thread. Well, the comments are longer, but the amount of comments is tiny. But those of you that did comment, thank you. Thank you very much. Yep, Jesse Ball apparently didn't get too pissed off and leave the page. Thank you for not doing that. I'm glad you stuck around. Brett McCarthy once again says, young team, defense is horrible today. When Cousins needed time, the O-line failed. Defense, just think if Hunter and Pierce were here playing tackle. And not to mention Eric Kendricks is healthy, because Kendricks is out too. So, yes, there's a reason why the tackling wasn't there, because a lot of main guys were not there. And Anthony Harris has not had a good season. He's not living up to that contract. I think he's screwed, unfortunately. I think so. Maybe we can renegotiate. Maybe we can negotiate a cheaper contract to keep him. But if he wants big bucks, he's probably not getting it. Trey Buckholes, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks as defense didn't want to tackle today. And, and again, missing players and the other guys that came in didn't step up too well, though I thought Todd Davis was pretty good. I thought he had his best game as a Viking today. Todd Davis, the former Branco, it wasn't an interception, but the pass deflection down the stretch. Big play. and liked what he was able to do. Helping a friend, says Mark Carlson, out of Iowa. I missed all but the last quarter, so I don't think I'm qualified to comment on too much, but I will say I don't ever recall this team being deadly with the ball in the last 2 minutes, that's for sure. Except for in the postseason, we had that one moment, and then the 49ers the next week reminded us how we just weren't as good as them, I guess. Merry Christmas, which I like hearing, to all of Purple Mafia. I'm looking forward to listening to the Purple Mafia show through the playoffs, and you bet I will be here. Regardless, I'll be here keeping up with Wild Card Week, Division Round, Conference, and Super Bowl. Fans are not in the building. Purple Mafia will be in this place doing this show. Yes. Unfortunately, I won't be in the buildings of any of these games. I wish I could be. But it ain't going to happen. Yeah, crowded. In the past, would be because it's too crowded, I wouldn't go. And, I wouldn't even get to do the show hardly. It would take forever to get home. And then, yay, now I can do the show. Plus, obviously, getting in a game is like getting in an airport these days. How can you even get in a game? I mean, you got to go through metal detectors and all that nonsense. And unfortunately, there's a part of my body that turns on the metal detector, unfortunately. And that's not fun. It's really an annoyance. I don't want to deal with that crap. So we'll continue. That's just a deep, dark secret, I guess you could say. Jesse Ball says, as a long-time fan, it's nothing new. It really isn't, is it, Jesse? Looking at the bright side, I suppose we should be pleased with having stayed in the hunt for as long as we did, considering the start of, which was 1-5, yeah. Realistically, I want a new head coach and quarterback, and the fact that that isn't going to happen, leading to more mediocrity, is sad. And I think it's sad also. It's just it's a harsh reality. Cousins is stuck here because of the salary cap hit. They just can't buy him out. You can't buy him out. Zimmer's got 3 years remaining on the contract. What are you going to do there? I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. And will we actually hire the right guy? That's the other thing. I don't know. Shoot, man. I don't know. So, where do we go with this one? Where do we go with this show? The gold star, the silver star, bronze star. Man, it's tough. It is tough. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh, man. Gold star for this episode. The two guys that kind of kept the comments alive for so long because it was so dead. I'm going to have them share it. Brett McCarthy and Dave Martin, Mad Martin, out of Northern Scotland. Brett McCarthy out of South Dakota. You guys are going to share the gold star because you kept the page alive for a while there. It was just completely dead. So I was getting scared, but luckily people did kind of filter in. Thank God for you guys coming in a little bit, and probably more will pop up. I should almost backtrack and check on that sometimes on the next show. But sometimes it's hard that way. God bless those of you that have stuck around and such. Silver star with gold plates. Got to go to Jesse Ball. Really liked what he had to say. Thank you very much. And just awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, I missed so many people. Like Leland was so good all year too. I don't know where he went. Dave Vicky's got at least a silver star as well. He's going to get a silver star as well. He was really good. Bronze star, Mark Carlson, just for checking in. Mike Dale. I mean, thank you guys. Malcolm McSween. And I'm in the season of giving. Gerald String. And Trey Buckholz. I mean, all you guys, thank you for commenting. I mean, you're all at least getting a bronze star. Season of Giving, and just for being a part of this small commentary. Minimum bronze star, guys. I mean, thank you guys so much for being a part of this show and keeping it alive, even during this time when the fan base seems to be kind of like hell with it for the year. Kind of checking out for the year, and it's the holiday week, or I like to call it Christmas. I don't like to say holiday. I just don't. Just say it, I guess. That's just my point of view. Maybe I'm not offended by it. I hope I'm not offending anybody by saying Merry Christmas. I would pray that's not the case, because I'll just tell you Happy Hanukkah as well if you want that. If you want Kwanzaa, I'll say Happy Kwanzaa also. I'll just be, fair and honest. Call the holiday as it is, not just the holiday. That's how I see it. Not trying to be disrespectful, that's for damn sure. With that said, again, well, Christmas is here, and, well, the middle of my Christmas tree is still not lit up because even though I changed the fuse, nothing happened. So I'm not sure what else to do with it. Stupid fake tree. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a real one next year and have real cords. What do you think of that? Or I have to go the LED route. Woohoo! I don't like the look of LED lights, but they don't burn out really. They don't burn out. That's the thing. Where the old classic ones do, unfortunately, and weird stuff happens, and it's frustrating. It's too bad because the classic ones look better, but they have issues. They burn out on you, and funny things go wrong, and I don't know. It's like a big guessing game now. Maybe one light bulb went out and it's causing all of this because changing the fuse didn't do anything. Fuses didn't do anything. I mean, talking about fuses are about as wide as are about as long as 2 millimeters, maybe 3. Okay, maybe it's not that small. It's about 5. It's about 5 or 6 millimeters long, maybe 5. I think it's really tiny little thing. 8 at the absolute max millimeter long. As for width, it's about 2. Yep, it's unbelievably tiny. That's how small the fuses are for these Christmas lights. It's freaking crazy, man. It's like medical assembly, basically. But even, it's like the heart stents. That's how tiny those can be. Absolutely insane. So, looks like no white Christmas here. Maybe you got it in Iowa. Maybe you got some snow there. Maybe we'll get some miraculous snow here at the last second. There was a veil of gray clouds, just that gray sky that usually brings snow. But the forecast isn't saying it. So that gray kind of came in the afternoon when I was hanging out after the game for a couple minutes, kind of knocking the little puck around the ice rink just for fun. Even without skates on, because, I can't skate really. I just wanted to knock a puck around, and they didn't have any nets up. The ice is there, but no nets. Really? No nets? Ay, come on, put some nets up, damn it. Come on, Golden Valley, let's go. Hampshire Park, Golden Valley, put some nets up, will you? With that said, I hope all of you have a great Christmas. And, of course, we'll be back on Christmas Day to watch the Minnesota Vikings probably not beat the Saints, but maybe they will. At the moment, I'm not having them beat the Saints, but I hope I'm wrong. Well, doesn't matter, though. Will they even make the playoffs anyway? Even if we win out 8-8, it's still a crappy record. You got to get off to a better start than 1-5, seriously, and hope for something better than this. New coach, new quarterback, I think would be a nice thing, but I guess we'll have to talk about that as we get closer and closer to the off season. And look more and more forward to the month of January and the playoffs, even though, unfortunately, the month of January means the end of the Christmas season. That's the crappy part. I hate to see Christmas season end, but it always does. It always does so quickly. It just flies on by. The month of December goes by faster than any month the whole year, I think. Honestly, except maybe May, because it's the greatest month ever. And then it just vanishes, and it's June already. But it is what it is. Hope all of you, again, have a great Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate. Take care, and we will talk to you in about 5 days for some Christmas football.